Welcome, Transformer fans! My name is Composite Enerjoe, and today I'll be bringing you my review of the Transformers Power of the Primes Wave 1 Prime Masters, which are, from left to right, Metalhawk with Vector Prime, Cloudburst with Micronus, and Skullgrin with Liege Maximo. And here they are. So this is the entire first wave, which are these three first wave of Prime Masters from the Power of the Primes Prime Masters figures. Bit of a mouthful. So yeah, and what these are was what we're seeing before us, what's in front of us right now, are referred to as decoy armors. If any of those names, Metalhawk, Cloudburst, and Skullgrin, if that sounds familiar, that's because these names used to be attached to characters called Pretenders from back in G1. And Pretenders were just were robots trying to disguise as humans, so their shells they looked ridiculous like this. They kind of looked like this, and they were supposed to pass off as humans. So they sort of reused that idea and used them for what these are called decoy armors. And what these are supposed to do is to hide the sparks that they hold inside of them, which, if you just fold it down here, are these things. And these are supposed to be the sparks of the ancient original 13 primes. With, like I said, Metalhawk has Vector Prime, Cloudburst has Micronus, and Skullgrin has Liege Maximo. And that, to me, I think is the most interesting thing about these figures, because what these are, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like these that much. I actually don't like the Prime Masters, because all they are dumbed down versions of the Titan Masters and their ride armors. I still remember if those are, I don't remember if those are the actual names for those things. I just call them ride armors. But yeah, to sort of explain, let me get up Micronus here. This is it. I'm going to transform and show off Micronus and then explain why, what's the problem with it. So this is a decoy armor of Cloudburst. Articulation-wise, the arms can move up and down, and that's it. Now, you can open them up and take out, come on, there we go, and you take out this thing, and this is supposed to be the Prime Master, which is, when you fold it up, when you transform it, is this. This is supposed to be the spark of one of the original 13 primes. This one specifically is on Micronus, who I think I'll explain the primes a little bit more later, since I probably will have the time for it. So this is it. If what I just did looks familiar, that's because they just reused the Titan Master molds and remake them as sparks. And I don't know if these are supposed to represent the primes that the primes that the sparks are attached to. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right. Okay, I don't know if this is supposed to be a representation of the primes themselves, like an avatar, or if this was just carried over from the Titan Masters, but here is the robot mode of the Prime Masters. Like I said, from doing some research, I think the sparks are just supposed to be like this the whole time, and they're not supposed to have like a robot mode, but there it is. So yeah. You just shove them in here, and you can sort of interchange them, and that's it. That's how you get it in robot mode. Now, they do have another mode, but first you have to take the sparks back out. Come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Take them back out. You then transform into his spark mode. So there's Micronus' spark. And then you just do this. You fold up this bit until it clicks into place, and then you fold down the handle. And here we have the weapon mode, which is completed when you just plug in, like so, the spark. And here we have like a double-barreled like chain gun. And this is a Cloudburst weapon mode. And what you saw me do that is the same exact thing that all Prime Masters can do. All the Prime Masters function just like that in the same exact way. With maybe like a couple alterations if you really want to. So there is that one. So let's get to Liege Maximo here. Same thing. Pull them out. Close up. Here is Liege's robot mode. Fold them up. There's his spark. Then for the weapon mode, fold up, fold down, and plug in. If you even notice, some of them are even in the same placement. And there you go. Here's his claw. Then we have Vector Prime. Same thing. Pull out. Oh, well, one thing I could show off is that you can take these off, the actual weapon parts. You can pop them off. And there's a handle here so that you can have the decoy armors hold them as like their own weapons. Each one can also do that, but I honestly forget that it can do that because it's such a small thing. But he can do it. So yeah, you just take out. Come on, there we go. Take that out, push down, fold up for the spark. Oh, the whoops. Here is robot mode. And they all have nice bits of detail. I'm not saying that there isn't any quality here. But it feels like they did this just to save money. Because well, there you go. And this is just another cannon. And there they are in their weapon modes. And just to show off their size, here is Ratchet, which is quarter. And those are the Prime Masters in their weapon modes. So they're not that big. They're not. I think the Titan Masters and their armors and their sort of ride armors were a little bigger. Yeah, no, they were a little bit bigger, but they offered more than these things, because all Prime Masters do the same exact thing as what I just showed you. They have their decoy armor mode, a weapon mode, and then you can remove the sparks. Which, funny enough, these are since they have the same design and mold. Well, I don't know about mold, but the same design as the Titan Masters. They are compatible with Titan Masters. You can have these things be like heads, and it looks really weird. But yeah, and that's it. That's honestly it for the figures. Overall, the idea is interesting. The execution is not that great. I'm not gonna lie. I feel that this was one of the worst things about the Power of the Primes line. Is this idea, because you have the idea of introducing the 13 primes, and this is how you represent them. I mean, the idea of having, here are the sparks of the primes, and then when you have them, and that's sort of, this is the idea where each spark is supposed to have a power connected to the prime that it's representing. And if you grab the primes and whatnot, you gain their power. That's a neat idea. But you know what I would have preferred? Actually seeing actual figures of the primes, which would have been great, and it would have been preferable to this. And so yeah, I'll say that the figures are okay. I think they do look pretty nice together. But I honestly say don't waste your money on them, and only get them if you can find them really cheap. Or if you really want one, just get one. Just look at them, pick the one you like the most, and just roll with it. I don't really recommend getting them all. The only reason why I even have these is because I honestly by luck, found them dirt cheap. So I decided to grab them and do a video on them. So, well, now that I have a little bit of extra time, let me explain a little bit of, what I figured to be the most interesting thing here, which are the primes that these cores are about. And like I said, the idea was that if you collect the cores here, these sparks, you gain their powers. The easiest one to explain away is Vector Prime here. Because of Vector Prime, the power that's attached to here is the ability to travel and I think even manipulate through time. Because, and I'm going to give little bits of information about the Prime, since that's honestly, the only reason why you even be collecting these things. Vector Prime is one of the original 13 primes and was the one in charge of time and space. He was the guardian of time and space. So by collecting his spark, you would gain that ability to travel and I think even manipulate time, which is really cool. And if he sounds familiar, this character was introduced way back in the Unicron trilogy days in Transformers Cybertron. Really cool. Remember this character. This is probably my favorite of all these Prime Masters because of the nostalgia I have attached with this particular character. So really cool. Now the other two, their powers are not as well defined because it's really weird because I don't think they have anything really specific attached to them. To explain this, Micronus here, he was again one of the original 13 primes, and he was the one that was responsible for the creation of minicons. So he was also the smallest of the primes, and he then created the minicons. And the power you're supposed to get from this, I think, it's not clear, but I think it's supposed to be boundless energy, because that's what was said that that Micronus had. He just had unlimited amounts of energy attached to him. And he kind of passed on that trait to the minicons, because the minicons, when they sort of combine or connect to larger transformers, it gives them power boosts. So I guess by collecting Micronus's core here, you gain unlimited energy. Not bad. I honestly still say that Vector Prime's power is much more impressive and more important and more valuable because you can manipulate time. And Liege Maximo, he's, I guess, harder to explain. But I guess, well, to explain who he is, he actually has like two separate backstories. His backstory kind of changed. Originally, he wasn't a prime. Instead, he was supposed to be the polar opposite of the first prime when that was created. So he wasn't even originally a prime. He was just sort of the bad guy that was meant to fight the primes. And he even led to the creation of not only Megatron, but the Decepticons as a whole. So he was supposed to be like the first, I don't want to say the first Decepticon, but he was the evil robot. He was the evil transformer that led to the creation of the Decepticons. They now changed that and decided to make him a prime, and he's supposed to be one of the best strategists of the 13 primes, and was he was like a puppet master, and he sort of manipulated the other primes behind the scenes, and he was very much a trickster character. I guess the first thing, to make a comparison, the first thing that pops into my head is that he's very similar to Norse mythology's Loki, who was a trickster god. So Liege Maximo is basically a robot version of that. And that's it. So I guess the powers you would get from having his spark would be maybe extra intelligence and maybe getting more trickster abilities. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I'm assuming that's what you would get. So yeah, his powers aren't very well defined. It's just more like, I'm just assuming he just makes you smarter and a better strategist, because that's what he was. And that's about it. So yeah, this has been my review of the Transformers Power of the Primes Wave 1 Prime Masters. This is Composite Enerjoe signing off. Peace out.